Have you ever wondered why you abandon yourself the moment someone else raises their voice, their expectations, or their disappointment? Why your body reacts before your mind catches up, pulling you back into patterns you swore you outgrew? That question isn't random. It's the doorway into everything you've been carrying alone. And right now you feel it. Something tightening in your chest, something whispering that this isn't just another video. It's the truth you've avoided because facing it feels like ripping open a wound you learned to cover instead of heal. Trauma didn't just leave scars, it taught you rules. Rules about staying silent, rules about keeping the peace, rules about shrinking yourself so no one could hurt you worse than they already did. You didn't choose those rules. You inherited them in moments when your safety depended on doing whatever it took to avoid conflict, chaos, or rejection. And over time, those rules became your identity. You learned to read rooms faster than you read your own emotions. You learned to comfort others while your own heart begged for rest. You learned to build a life on top of the quiet belief that your needs were an inconvenience. But here's the part that stings. Those rules didn't disappear with time. They followed you into your relationships, into your decisions, into every moment where you felt the pull between what you wanted and what you thought you were allowed to want. And each time you chose the version of you that made others comfortable. A piece of you went quiet, not because you're weak, not because you don't know what you deserve, but because your nervous system is still convinced that self-abandonment is the safest path. You tell yourself you're being patient, understanding, flexible, but deep down you know the truth. You're exhausted. You're tired of apologizing for existing. You're tired of being loyal to everyone but yourself. You're tired of showing up in ways that leave you empty. And what hurts most is that you have become so used to betraying yourself that you barely notice it happening anymore. It's automatic. It's familiar. It feels like home, even though it's the thing that keeps breaking you. But there is a reason you're listening right now, a reason you didn't scroll away, a reason your chest feels tight with recognition. Some part of you is done playing small, done being overpowered by old fears, done letting the past dictate your present. That part of you is still alive, even if you buried it to survive. And it's asking for something you've denied for years, a chance to choose yourself even once. This isn't about becoming a different person. It's about remembering the person you were before fear rewired your instincts, before you believed that your worth depended on how easy you were to love, before you learned to mistake self-sacrifice for strength. The truth is, you don't want to keep living like this. You don't want to keep second-guessing every boundary, every feeling, every instinct. You don't want to keep waking up with that quiet ache of knowing you're living a life that feels borrowed instead of owned. And you don't have to. Because the moment you recognize your self-betrayal is not who you are, but who you became to survive, you open a door back to your voice, back to your intuition, back to the version of you who didn't need permission to take up space. That version isn't gone, it's waiting for one moment of honesty, one moment of courage, one moment where you stop running from yourself and decide, even if it scares you, to come home. You may not believe you're ready. You may think you need to learn more, heal more, be stronger, be braver, but the truth is simpler. You're ready the moment you decide you've had enough. And right now, listening with your heart beating a little faster, you already know you've already felt the shift, the quiet realization that something inside you is waking up. Don't ignore that. That feeling is your first act of rebellion, the first crack in the armor trauma built around you. And now you're standing in the space between who you've been and who you're becoming, a place where every choice matters. This is where most people turn back, where fear convinces them they're safer in their old patterns, but you're still here. That alone means you're ready for more truth than you've ever allowed yourself to hear. Because the moment you decide you've had enough, life stops being a repetition and becomes a confrontation. You start seeing the places where you've been disappearing in plain sight. You start realizing how many times you said yes out of fear instead of desire. You start noticing how often you swallowed your emotions to keep the peace, even when that peace cost you pieces of yourself. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's why your chest feels tight right now. Awareness is uncomfortable, but it's also the beginning of freedom. You've spent years adjusting yourself to fit into spaces that were too small for you. You've toned yourself down, softened your edges, dimmed your voice, all to avoid the possibility of rejection or conflict. But the cost has been mounting. It shows up in the way you second-guess every instinct, in the way you apologize before you even speak, in the way you feel responsible for everyone's emotional temperature except your own. The weight of that responsibility is crushing, and you feel it every day, even if you never say it out loud. But here's the truth that's rising in you now. You can't build a real life on a foundation of self-abandonment. You can't keep sacrificing your needs and expect your soul to stay quiet. At some point, the body rebels, the heart rebels, the mind rebels. And maybe that's why you've been feeling this growing tension inside you, this sense that the life you're living isn't big enough for the person you're meant to become. That tension isn't a problem, it's a summons. It's your deeper self, demanding a voice after years of silence. And the world has taught you to fear that voice. It told you that choosing yourself is selfish, that saying no makes you difficult, that having boundaries makes you ungrateful. But those beliefs were never the truth. They were tools used by people who benefited from your compliance. You learned to make yourself small because it made life easier for others, not because it made life better for you. And now that you're waking up to that reality, every part of you is craving something different: respect, honesty, alignment, peace that doesn't require self-erasure. This awakening isn't gentle. It isn't polite. It comes with anger, grief, confusion, and a kind of clarity that feels almost violent. But all of it is necessary, because you can't step into a new life while clinging to the beliefs that were built in your wounds. You can't rise while holding the weight of everyone else's comfort, and deep down you know this. You feel the urgency in your bones, not because you're running out of time, but because you're running out of excuses to keep living a life that hurts you. So let this moment be the one where you stop negotiating your worth, where you stop begging for the bare minimum, where you stop twisting yourself into shapes that don't honor who you are. Every step you take toward yourself is a step away from the world that taught you to reject your own voice. And yes, it will feel unfamiliar, it will feel uncomfortable, but discomfort is not danger, it's growth. And right now, you're growing faster than your fear can keep up. You don't need perfection, you don't need permission, you don't need someone to tell you that you're allowed to live your own life. You need one thing: the decision to stop disappearing. Because once you choose yourself, truly choose yourself, everything around you begins to shift. The relationships that relied on your silence fall away. The habits built on self-doubt lose their power. And the person you were before the world dimmed your light finally begins to breathe again. And that person has been waiting for you to come back. And this is where everything inside you starts to shift. Not in a loud way, not in some dramatic explosion, but in a quiet, irreversible recognition that you can't go back to who you were. You've already seen too much. You've already felt too much. You've already tasted the possibility that your life doesn't have to be a cycle of pleasing, adjusting, and disappearing. And once that possibility enters your awareness, it becomes impossible to pretend you don't want more. Something deep inside you is rising, and this time you're not pushing it down. You've lived your whole life trying to earn space you were already allowed to take. You've apologized for emotions that were completely human. You've carried burdens that were never yours. And you did it because you were trained to believe that love is something you maintain by sacrificing yourself. But you're starting to see the truth now. The people who valued you only when you were quiet never deserved your voice. The people who relied on your compliance never respected your power, and the parts of you that were dismissed, ignored, or shamed are the exact parts trying to guide you toward the life you actually want. The fear you feel right now isn't a sign to retreat, it's a sign you're moving towards something real. Of course, your body shakes at the thought of choosing yourself. Of course, your mind doubts whether you're strong enough. You've been conditioned to believe that putting yourself first is dangerous, that honesty comes with consequences, that boundaries create abandonment. But every time you silence your needs to keep someone else comfortable, you abandon the very person who needs your loyalty the most, you. And that pattern ends the moment you decide it does. Your life is not supposed to feel like a constant negotiation with your own worth. It's not supposed to feel like you're walking on emotional eggshells. It's not supposed to feel like your needs are a burden. You weren't meant to carry everyone's expectations on your back while your own desires starved. You weren't meant to shrink into a version of yourself that makes other people feel bigger. You weren't meant to survive off crumbs of validation when you were capable of so much more. You feel the weight of that truth now, heavier and clearer than ever. And you know what makes this moment powerful? You're no longer numb to your own pain. You're no longer pretending that everything is fine. You're no longer performing strength while you're breaking inside. You're finally acknowledging the ache you've ignored for years. And that acknowledgement is the first real step toward freedom. You can't heal what you refuse to feel. And now you're allowing yourself to feel the reality of your own abandonment, your own exhaustion, your own longing for something better. But longing alone isn't enough. At some point, you have to make a decision that your future matters more than your fear. At some point, you have to choose the discomfort of growth over the familiarity of suffering. At some point, you have to stop waiting for permission to live a life that feels like yours. And that point is right now. Not tomorrow, not when you feel braver, not when everything feels perfect. Now, in this moment, while your heart is pounding and your mind is racing, because this is the moment where your old life starts to lose its grip on you. The world doesn't change when you feel ready. It changes when you take action, even while your voice shakes. It changes when you choose honesty over silence. It changes when you decide that your needs, your peace, your truth matter just as much as anyone else's. And deep down, you already know that's what you want. You want to wake up without guilt. You want to speak without fear. You want to love without losing yourself. You want to finally feel like you belong in your own life. And you do. You always have. You just stop believing it somewhere along the way. But belief can be rebuilt. Identity can be reclaimed. Strength can be rediscovered. And the version of you that's been waiting in the shadows is ready to step forward the moment you stop holding the door shut. Every part of your life changes the second you choose yourself, and you're closer to that moment than you think.